Over the past few years, FINALMOUSE has been considered the pinnacle of gaming mouse innovation. But there have been more and more companies slowly pushing their way onto the scene, making me question, does the FINALMOUSE still have the grip on the market that it used to, or is it being carried by the name associated with the product? Arbiter Studio and the WLMouse are two of these companies. The Akitsu, which I have here, and the Beast, which I have here, take a similar shape to the FINALMOUSE ULX and put their own spin on the formula, which has been so successful for the ULX over the years. Now, these mice all have a very similar shape. The Akitsu only comes in one size, whereas the ULX and the Beast both come in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. And the Akitsu sits somewhere between the small and the medium version for these 2 mice. The FINALMOUSE has the lightest mice ranging from 31 to 37 grams, with the WLMouse ranging from 34 to 42 grams, and the Akitsu weighing in at 38 grams. Now, at these weights, it is arguable whether or not these weight differences are noticeable at all, but what does make a small difference is the material and the feel of the mice, as well as the way that the weight is distributed. In the ULX, the weight sits back a little bit more, so if you hold it in the middle, it tilts back slightly. This is because most of the PCB is centered around the middle, with the battery pack sitting at the rear end, while for the other mice, the PCB is centered more at the front, with the battery pack down in the back, so that when you hold it in the middle, it feels a little bit more balanced. In terms of material, the ULX and the Akitsu both have a carbon fiber composite material. However, the Akitsu is far more sturdy and thicker, hence why the additional weight as well, while the ULX is a lot softer, I guess you could say. It feels almost plasticky in hand. There are certain points on the shell which you can see are very easy to push in. You can fully push in the back here in the shell. Now, that has been done intentionally to reduce the weight a little bit in areas which FINALMOUSE says you won't feel during gameplay. And in general, I do have to say that you don't really feel the difference. You can't really feel all of these spaces in the shell when you're pushing in, when you're playing. You would really have to try and strangle the mouse for that to become an issue at any point. In terms of the coating though, the FINALMOUSE does almost feel cheaper just because it has more of a plasticky coating compared to the Akitsu and the Beast, which are a lot more metallic feeling and just sturdy. Despite the fact that there are so many holes in the Beast X Max, the magnesium alloy does make it feel incredibly sturdy, and I've tried to push into this mouse as hard as I can and I simply cannot get any flex out of it, and it's very similar for the Akitsu. So in terms of build quality, these 2 mice just do feel a lot more premium than the ULX does. In terms of button feel, the Beast X and the Akitsu both have very firm, satisfying clicks. The Beast X comes with 2 different switch options, Omron Opticals or TTC Nihils, while the ULX uses Omron switches and the Akitsu uses Huano switches. Now, in terms of pricing and availability, this is where some of the biggest problems come with FINALMOUSE. FINALMOUSE is known to be very difficult to get, with very limited time drops which sell out incredibly quickly. The MSRP for one of these mice is $189, compared to the $140 for the Akitsu and the $145 for the Beast X. The Akitsu is also not easy to get per se. They do have more frequent drops and they do try and restock it as quickly as possible, but you still have to catch the website at a good time. The Beast X, however, is basically always available in several different colors. Now, some of those colors might be sold out at certain times, but the Beast X is definitely the easiest of these mice to buy. In terms of the performance of the mice, all of these mice perform exceptionally as you'd expect. They're all capable of 8K Hz polling. The FINALMOUSE and the Arbiter both use a Pixart 3395 sensor, while the Beast X Max uses a Pixart 3950 sensor. They all use Nordic MCUs, and they all perform incredibly well, as you would expect from mice at this price point. In terms of the battery life, with the Akitsu and the FINALMOUSE, I've never really had any kind of problem with the battery life. They really do hold for hours and hours and hours, especially if you're not using them at 8K Hz polling the entire time. The Beast X has had some issues when it comes to the battery life. However, they have had a recent update to their firmware, which has helped this out significantly. It does still lag behind the other 2 a little bit though, so that's something to bear in mind. In terms of their design, the ULX and the Akitsu both are quite similar with the way that they've done their cutouts, whereas you can see that the Beast X does have quite a large difference. The Beast X has far more aggressive cutouts, which also go on the sides. Now, I've applied grip tape to mine to kind of mask this, but even through the grip tape, you can still feel the aggressive cutouts. That's something that a lot of people have said that they're not a very big fan of, so that's something that you'd have to get used to if you get the mouse. For the Akitsu, they do have a very unique dragonfly design at the bottom of the mouse, which does look incredibly cool. However, I have had a very few problems with it at times, where if my mouse skates wear down, as you can see I'm using dot skates. If these skates wear down, then the sensor at the bottom of the dragonfly will scrape across my mousepad. So especially on glass pads, I've noticed that if the skates are wearing down, I can feel a little bit of scratching coming from the middle, and that's just something to be aware of. In terms of additional things, when it comes to the Arbiter, they have a very cool USB dongle for their 8K Hertz polling. This will light up as an LCD with information about the polling rate, the battery life, and all of those things. So it does make managing the battery life on the Vancer a lot easier than on the other two mice, where you have to check web-based software. So, overall, there are a lot of similarities between these mice, and you can clearly tell that Arbiter Studios and WL Mouse have taken inspiration from FINALMOUSE's innovation in the space over the past few years. I do feel, however, that they've managed to take what FINALMOUSE has done and package it in an overall more enjoyable and more obtainable experience. If you want a FINALMOUSE for the name, by all means go for it. But if you're looking for purely performance, I simply cannot justify picking it over the Beast X or the Akitsu, which in my mind are as close to perfect as you will get for this mouse shape. Alrighty guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video, the comparison between the FINALMOUSE ULX, the Arbiter and Vancer Studios Akitsu, the Beast X Max. If you have any more ideas or suggestions for things that I should do in the future, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I hope you have a fantastic day. See you guys.